Sailor Moon. Now that's an anime I wasn't expecting to watch. But something about the show's art and music just drew me in, so I finally gave it a chance, and to my surprise, I love it. I think that a lot of anime viewers assume that shoujo series like Sailor Moon are only made for young girls, and so it might not even be on their radar. But I find that quite unfortunate, because when you actually watch Sailor Moon, one thing becomes apparent almost immediately. These distinctions are entirely meaningless. Sailor Moon is just a good series, period. In fact, I would be willing to bet pretty much anyone who enjoyed a series like Bleach, Demon Slayer, or Dragon Ball would feel right at home watching Sailor Moon, because it uses a similar story structure as its shonen counterparts to tell a story about love and friendship while still involving high-action battles on the regular. On the surface, you have this slice-of-life series with a group of friends that have supernatural powers. They team up to defeat a hierarchy of evil villains, monster of the week style, kind of like Part 4 of JoJo's. But what makes Sailor Moon so exceptional is the tremendous amount of care put into its characters and the overall messages that its story encapsulates. In fact, these aspects of Sailor Moon are so powerful and so prevalent in almost every single episode that they elevate an otherwise basic plot into an emotional roller coaster. Take Usagi Tsukino, the main character of the series, for instance. She's a very straightforward person who acts on her immediate feelings and emotions. Because of this pure attitude, she's often called out for being stupid, dumb, klutzy, or even unreliable, and this makes her a bad fit for the responsibility of Sailor Moon. But that's the thing. Usagi does not want to be Sailor Moon, nor does she want to be the main character who has to save the world from evil. All Usagi ever wants in this series is to be her normal self, make friends, and find love. But she has this role forced upon her by fate, and needs to take on all of the responsibility that comes with it, even though she has neither the desire nor the aptitude to be that sort of person. And that's really the ultimate tragedy of this series, a tragedy that is built upon and executed masterfully thanks to the people that surround Usagi. And these people are the Sailor Senshi. Bearing imagery of other planets and constellations, the Sailor Warriors are actually a bunch of down-to-earth individuals who befriend Usagi and accept her for the person she is, in spite of her shortcomings. And that's because she's sort of this glue that holds them all together. She has this magnetic personality that makes others orbit or gravitate around her. Each friend of Usagi is given very fleshed out motivations, distinct ways of thinking and expressing themselves, and traits which help them balance each other out. For one, you've got Ami, the introverted genius with a heart of gold. She takes on the role of Sailor Mercury, the level-headed fighter of the group who remains the voice of reason for her friends when they start to lose their cool. Even though her powers are the weakest, she's still able to outsmart stronger opponents with tricks and strategies. She's probably my favorite character overall. Rei, or Sailor Mars, is a mean, sassy girl who bullies Usagi at every opportunity. But when the going gets tough, she shows that she really cares about her friend. Surprisingly, she's a shrine maiden with the ability to lift curses, pretty much the exact opposite role you would expect someone with her fiery personality to have. But that just goes to show you these characters are quite layered and complicated. Makoto, Sailor Jupiter, is the tough one of the group, but she is also earnest and straightforward with her emotions. Lo and behold, she is the cavalry in the group, just a powerful fighter who uses lightning. I will not spoil the last of the inner Senshi, because if you cannot tell, I am very highly recommending Sailor Moon here. Who'd have guessed? But someone interesting joins in when the stakes start to increase. Now, the last friend of Usagi to talk about here is the series' love interest, the mysterious Tuxedo Mask. This guy starts off as a joke. He pops in, he throws a rose, he says a cheesy line, and then he takes off without accomplishing anything. And for some reason, it's like the best thing ever. I love his little bit. As the series progresses, his involvement in the story grows alongside Usagi's feelings for him, and his character serves to motivate Usagi to do various things and grow as a person. So with that out of the way, all of the people orbiting Usagi become the biggest point of focus for her development as a person. Whenever Usagi falters, her friends all pick up the slack for her, showing a selfless level of love for one another, even to the degree where they would all take a bullet for Usagi, no questions asked. And Usagi reciprocates these sentiments. She starts to accept the responsibility of Sailor Moon for their sake, even at the cost of her own happiness. The opponents the Sailor Warriors must face are almost as interesting, with the good guys representing this profound love for one another and the strength of human bonds. The Dark Kingdom serves to juxtapose that as this sort of bad guy hierarchy dominated by fear and, get this, worth. While Usagi's friend group cares for one another in spite of their individual shortcomings, Dark Kingdom, on the other hand, discards anyone who they deem weak, unreliable, or valueless. In fact, friendship and love are so foreign to them that they will execute their most fiercely loyal officers for not driving results. And this system completely shocks the sailors as they find out about it, and that causes them to pity some of the villains. This dynamic causes some of the villains to be portrayed in a sympathetic light as they struggle to survive in an eat or be eaten environment, doing things that they really don't want to do just to please the big bad who rules with fear and intimidation. So overall, you could say that this anime is about love. Not just romantic love, but also love for friends, family, and even strangers. It shows you just how important it is to give proper love and respect to one another, and how devastating it can be to be treated without love and kindness. Love is about being oneself and giving oneself, not taking things away from others. And all of this builds up to one of the most beautiful and powerful anime finales of all time, where it takes every little thing the series made you care about and puts it all to the ultimate test. Even though the ending is spectacular, the journey building up to it is absolutely worthwhile. Much of this is thanks to the fantastic musical score and artistic direction of the series, which creates this distinct mood, a sort of blend of action and romance and mystery. Even just by taking a look at the Japanese opening, you can see all these elements, as well as how rich the show is in symbolism, which further drives home the ideas the show is getting across. Of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this anime is riddled with some questionable writing choices. For instance, every single plot point for every single episode is driven by contrivances and chance encounters. The bad guys will just happen to be there doing evil shenanigans at this random spot, and our heroes will just happen to be vacationing at the exact same place, and there'll be some kind of excuse. They'll be there at the right time to save the day. But when you peel things back for a second and you really look at the overall narrative, you start to notice how inseparable this story is from themes of destiny, love, and justice. And with that in mind, all of these little contrivances start to make sense. In fact, with those themes in mind, there aren't really any major complaints I have with the show at all, bar a few dated relics of it being an anime from the 90s with different social norms. I guess my biggest complaint is that the plot can be a little repetitive, so Sailor Moon is best watched one episode per day. So if you binge it, you will burn out fast. And also, the first episode isn't necessarily a hook, but it gets good pretty fast. Apart from that, I don't really have any nitpicks. So that's Sailor Moon. 46 episodes that are a blast to watch. I highly recommend it to anyone. Stick with the sub or the recent redub of the original 90s anime. The original dub butchered it beyond belief and made it so much less deep and thoughtful. I think that this anime really deserves a lot more exposure than just its target demographic. It's a lot more mature than it lets on. It's an emotional roller coaster with a beautiful artistic direction, and the perfect show to pick up if you just want to watch one episode in the morning. There are technically many more seasons of Sailor Moon, but the first season is really a complete story, to the point where the other seasons change the title altogether, and in my opinion, the first season is the only one you need to watch. Everything else after it is kind of telling a different story with different tones and messages, so if you're really invested, you can continue. But I think that season 1 ended on the perfect spot and can be viewed as a complete work. So if you like this video, consider watching Sailor Moon, but also consider subscribing to my channel, because I would really like YouTube to become a job. It's a dream of mine, and by leaving a like and a comment, you can help that dream of mine become a reality. So in the name of the moon, help my channel grow. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.